and how skinny and sores on people's face and drawn up they were, you know, like very emaciated because they... Today's video is going to be another prison Q&A. If you guys are new here, hi, my name is Christina. Whenever I was 21, I was sentenced to 3 years prison in the state of Florida. So I'm speaking from my own personal experience. Before we get into this video, I do want to say to please remember to be kind to everybody, everywhere, in your everyday life, in the grocery store, in the drive-thru, in your house, and especially in the comment section down below. Please do not show hate to anybody, anywhere. Good morning, my lovelies, my beauties, my friends. My name is Christina and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I really hope that you will subscribe, stick around, take a chance on hearing some things that I have to say. And if you are a returning subscriber, y'all already know, y'all are my babies. So good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing today? I hope you all are having an amazing day. So I put a poll up a while back over on Instagram and asked you guys what other questions that you have for me. And so today we're going to be doing another Q&A. If you guys do not hear your answer here, then I may have already answered your question in a previous prison Q&A. I will leave those videos linked down in the description box so you can go and binge those if you want to. If I have not answered your questions in any of my Q&As, make sure to leave them down below and I will do another one as soon as I can. Before we get into it, I do want to let you guys know that I have a second channel. If you have not heard, it is Casually Christina. Over there we do things a lot more casually. It's just like hanging out with me. We talk about different stuff. We do different stuff. I got a house tour. All of that, just really casual stuff, non-true crime, non-prison related stuff over there. I do about 2 videos over there and then I do my videos over here as well. I also post videos and we interact and have conversations on my Patreon. My Patreon is always linked down in the description box, so if you guys want to check that out, please feel free to, as well as you can find me on Instagram and Facebook. So basically I am everywhere all the time. But I wanted to throw that out there for the people that do not know. Alrighty, so let's get into the... Y'all see my Christmas jammies? I am in my Christmas jammies. Look, it's a one piece. I got it from Marshall's for like 15 bucks. If you guys do not check out Marshall's, you should. They have the cutest Christmas stuff. Go check out Marshall's. Alright, let's get into the first question. Have you seen girls cut off other girls' hair? I have long hair and that's my biggest fear if I go in. First of all, beautiful. Please do not go in. Do not go in at all. Second of all, I actually have seen that happen one time. Cut the girl's hair while she was asleep. And I don't even know how they did that unless they did it with a razor blade or, I mean, you know, you can cut things with toenail clippers too, but that seems like it would take forever. But I actually have seen that happen before. And I forgot all about it until you asked me this question. So yes, I have seen that happen once and that does happen. And when she woke up the next morning, I didn't see them doing it at all. But when she woke up the next morning, she was freaking out and like everybody was looking around. Like I still don't even know who in our dorm did it. So yep, that does happen. How do you keep other inmates from stealing your stuff? And how many outfits do they give you? I think they give us 2 outfits. I can't really remember. I think they give us 2. Maybe it's 3. It's not like a whole week's worth. I know that. And they give like their uniforms or whatever you call prison blues, whatever you want to call it. In Florida, we wear blue uniforms. And then eventually you can sometimes get dresses, which is what I got. And I typically wore dresses all the time. When I was working outside, and I worked inside grounds, which means I worked raking and digging and all that stuff inside the fence of prison. They also have a thing called outside grounds, and that's the people that get to go outside and do like, you know, the community work that you see if you're driving down the road and you see prisoners out there picking up trash or cutting grass or whatever. So I worked inside grounds, and when I did, I had to wear my prison blues, my blue shirt, my boots, my belt, all that, the whole 9 yards. Then whenever I ended up getting a job working in a different building, then I was able to wear my dress, and that's basically what I wore all the time unless I was working out, was my dress, because I just liked it. It was comfortable. It's like a t-shirt dress. So I would wear a t-shirt dress. Is it cute? No, not at all, but it was comfortable. And the other part of the question was, how do you keep other inmates from stealing your stuff? You keep your eye on it as much as you can, and when you're away from your bunk, your bed or whatever, you keep it locked up in that chest that I was telling you guys about. So you keep it locked, and you don't leave things laying around. You know, if you come in from canteen, say you got your canteen, you go to your bunk and you throw your stuff on your bed and you walk to the bathroom, you're asking for trouble. Like, people, you know, are probably going to take your, I mean, you know, it's not guaranteed they're going to take your stuff, but there's a really good chance. So you keep it locked up and you keep an eye on your stuff, and you don't leave anything laying around. So that's how that works. What was it like driving for the first time after prison? Man, it was so weird and bizarre, because when I drove for the first time, because you have to understand, I didn't get my actual license, my real driver's license, until I was 25 years old after prison, okay? So every time that I drove before that was illegally, okay? And when I got my license, I had to have an interlock device on my car, because I got that DUI I was telling you about in one of my other story times. And so I had to have an interlock device, which is like this machine that goes on there that you have to blow in. You have to blow beep, 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 and make sure that you are good. And what happens is, it's this little thing, and you have to take your car there. You have to pay them monthly. I think it was like $159 a month to have this interlock device on my car. So you have to pay them monthly, and you have to pay them to install it. And what happens is, in order for you to start your car, you have to blow in that, okay? So you cannot even start your car unless you blow in it. And then every so many minutes, I don't even remember how long it is, maybe every 10 minutes or whatever, while you're driving, it will prompt you to blow in it again. So you have to keep blowing in it. So my first time driving after being out of prison was a mission, was an adventure, okay? I had to have that thing on my car for 6 months. And it's scary, it's terrifying. Like, there's certain like mouthwashes you cannot use, because, you know, some of them have alcohol in them, and it can make you fail your breathalyzer test. So it's nerve-wracking. It was very, very, very nerve-wracking, but I did it. It was very, very, very hard, but I did it. And here I am now, doing good. Driving. Still nervous when I drive, though. That ain't changed. What do you do if you don't get enough pads from the COs? Okay, so if you guys don't know, when you go to prison, I get a lot of questions about your period in there. You have to go up to you can either buy tampons and pads off of the canteen, which, one, if you don't have any money, then you can't. But two, they're really, really expensive on the canteen. Like probably like 5 times what they are out here on the streets, or they was whenever I was in there. And so, but they will give you pads in the prison, not tampons, but pads. But they only give you 2 at a time. I think it's 2 a day or 2, something like that. I know you definitely can only walk up there and get 2. And so if I needed more, I would ask my friends to go. I would say, hey, can you go up there and get me some pads? And it sucks. It sucks to have to be in that position. And I know that there's going to be people that's going to say, well, don't go to prison then. Well, listen, just because I'm in prison doesn't mean, like, it's not like I can go to work, right, and go get a job and buy my own pads or tampons. I'm at the mercy of the prison. And then when those type of things happen, it's really, really, really hard. There was times that I had to have toilet paper in my underwear, you know, because of one reason or another, which, hey, you got to make it work. You got to do what you got to do. But, you know, that would be basically what I would do, is like either toilet paper if I absolutely had to, if maybe, you know, I was at work on, you know, grounds and couldn't get to a window to get pads or something like that. And then other than that, I would have my friends go and get them for me. So yeah, sucked, but you know, you make it work. How often did you have to wear handcuffs or any other types of shackles? Anytime they are transporting you anywhere. If you have to go to court, if you have to go to anything, or if you get like put in the hole, which I did, you know, as soon as they come and get you to put you in the hole, they handcuff you. But the shackles and stuff is anytime you're being transferred from one prison to another, or, you know, one place to another, it's handcuffs and shackles. So no shackles on the way to the hole, but if you're leaving the compound, you have to wear your handcuffs and shackles, and typically a chain. They put this, handcuff your hands, they handcuff your feet, which is the shackles, and then they put this thick chain around your belly, and then there's a chain that goes down, and so all of you is handcuffed together, and you have to wobble like this, and it's uncomfortable. And those shackles always, always cut into my ankles and bled. You know that feeling that you get if you get like a blister on the back of your foot because of your shoes? And then as those shoes, that back of that shoe continues to rub on that raw skin because it's tore the skin away and it's been bleeding and it hurts, and it's not even the blister that hurts anymore. It's the fact that it's still rubbing. That's what it's like for me to wear shackles, because they cut into your ankles and then they just rub, and it's that metal rubbing, and it's bleeding and dripping down your leg or your foot there, and it's just rubbing and digging. What happens to your belongings while you're away? Does the state take them? Okay, so this is what happens. Let me give you an example. Say I'm living in a house, right? And I don't have, I have a full house full of stuff, okay? I got couches and, TVs and whatever, and I get arrested. They take me to jail. Now, I've got two options. I've got an option to have either a family member or a friend or somebody to come clear my house out, put my stuff in storage or whatever. Or if I don't have that, then nothing happens. What would probably happen is your house would sit there and you're not paying your rent because you're not, out in the free world. And so you're going to get evicted, and then they're going to do whatever they want to do with your stuff, whether they want to auction it off or whether they want to throw it away or donate it, whoever the landlord is or the owner, or, if your house was being bought and it was mortgage and then they come in and your house goes into foreclosure. When they come in, they clean out your house and they do whatever and it's gone. So if you don't have a family member or a friend to come and get your stuff, it's gone. It is gone. Could a prisoner's pet visit them in prison? No, I wish. That would be so awesome, especially because animals are really good for, your mental health. I think it would be amazing if, that could happen, but no, unfortunately not. Examples of prison beef you got into and how they were resolved. Okay, prison beef. I got into little things with people. It was never anything big. Maybe like, somebody sitting on my bed and me telling them to get up and then them smarting off to me and us just kind of like, whatever. I was never the type of person that was going to be like, rah, 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 across the dorm. And some women are like that in prison. Like, it's a lot of talk, a lot of curse words, and there's a lot of fights too. Don't get me wrong. It's not what I'm saying, but a lot of that catty arguing, like crazy threats, stuff like that. So I got into little things like that, not the cursing and the yelling, but little things like, hey, can you get up off my bed? I'm getting ready to get in there, because sometimes if you watch my other videos, you know that is definitely sometimes a form of disrespect. People try you like that, or things, little things like that, or maybe somebody, trying to take my shower, or somebody, this is one, definitely being loud at nighttime when we're trying to sleep. That's when you definitely like pull the covers off of you, because I told you guys you're wrapped in a full cocoon full of covers at nighttime because the flies are everywhere and they crawl on you. They'll crawl up your nose and in your ears. It's freaking ugh. So, and I'm all wrapped up trying to sleep, and I got to get up and go to work the next morning. Got to get up and do count 5 o'clock or whatever time it is. And people are being loud and giggling, and I'm like, can y'all keep it down? And then they, smart off. Those little types of things, but nothing big. You guys have asked me a million times if I was ever in a physical fight in prison, and no, I was not. Have you ever been hit on by a police officer in prison? And I don't know if they're talking about flirting or physical, so I'm going to answer both. I have a whole entire video that is titled How to Talk to an Officer in Prison or whatever like that. It's this video right here. I will leave it linked below. That tells you guys a whole story about my flirtationship with an officer. So if you guys want to watch that, it's kind of a funny story. Go and check that out. As far as hit on physically by an officer, no, I was never physically hit by an officer, thank God, but I was definitely roughed up. Roughed up is like slung around, pushed up against the wall with my face up against the wall, handcuffs behind my back whenever I got sent to the hole while I was in prison. She had the cuffs on me and she was slinging me around and all that stuff. So I've been roughed up, but I've never directly been like punched. But I have heard horror stories, okay? I have heard horror stories, but me personally, thank God I didn't go through that. Okay, now I do want to throw it out there that not all officers are like that, okay? There's a lot of, and you know, some of y'all are officers out there. Some of you guys are married to, or your parents or your family member, or, you know, your child are officers. There are good officers that come to work, do their job, treat people with respect as long as they are treated with respect in return. But me personally, I unfortunately had to run into a lot of the other types. So, you know, the roughing up is really just a way for them to express their control over you, for them to let you know that you can't do nothing about it. And it sucks, but you know, what can you do? You're in prison. You know, you broke the law. You don't have any rights. You don't have any freedom. And this is, you know, basically what happens. So what good can come from having been in prison? Well, there's a lot of things that actually good can come. Now, I do recommend that you doing all these things while being out instead of going in to have these things done. But, you know, you see a lot of addicts, people that were, you know, running the streets, or, you know, homeless or whatever, and they get in there and they get clean. That is a big thing. You would be surprised as if you saw people's mug shots when they first came in, and how skinny and sores on people's face and drawn up they were, you know, like very emaciated because they are on substances on the streets. And they get in prison and they get healthy. They get food, they get sleep, you know. It ain't the best food, it ain't the best sleep, but it's more than they were getting on the streets. Another thing is you can see a lot of people reconnect with their family members. You know, if you were out in the streets or living a life of crime and stuff like that, people unfortunately sometimes leave their children behind because they're chasing whatever that is in the streets, and then they're able to reconnect and build a relationship with their family members. When I was a little girl, I loved it when my dad was in jail. And I know that that sounds crazy, but then that was the only times that I really heard from him consistently, was when he was in jail. And I also knew he had a roof over his head, food in his belly, and, you know, he was safe-ish versus the life he was living on the street. The life he was living on the street, well, it's especially in a male's prison, it's not safe. That's not what I'm telling you by any means, but he wasn't like at risk of some of the things that he was doing, like maybe ODing and stuff like that on the streets. So there are good things that can come from it, but once again, I do not recommend taking that route. Please, please, please don't take that route, because no matter what good can come out of prison, there's a lot of bad that's going to come, and the memories and the screams and the smells and the trauma from being in prison will stay with you forever. Forever. Okay, it's not worth it. What are some occurrences in prison that you did not expect? I did not expect to change. Whenever I went into prison, I had full intentions on getting out and going back to my old life. Even when I got sentenced to 3 years, I had no intentions on changing. So that was a big one for me. I did not expect to come out here and do all the things that I did. Before I went to prison, I was working a job that I was making a lot of money, fast cash, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Just like people that deal and stuff like that. It's a lot of fast cash, dirty money, don't do it. And so when I got out, I ended up instead going to a shelter and getting a job at Wendy's and working my butt off for pennies at the time. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even back then, minimum wage was so much lower than it is now, and working hard for that money too. If you guys don't know, fast food is hard on your body. All of y'all that are doing fast food out there, good for you. Any job is a good job in my opinion, and there's a lot of room to grow in those type of businesses too, so no shame by any means, but it's hard. You stand on your feet on a concrete floor for 8 to 10 hours a day depending, over hot, cooking things, sweating, and it's harder than what you think. A lot of times people think, oh, all she does is hand french fries out the window. No, that's not it. With that being said, there are a lot more harder jobs, construction, military, you know, police officers, things where your lives are at risk and stuff like that. So by no means am I acting like serving food is this so much, you know, more important or stressful job than other jobs, but it is a lot of work for a tiny bit of money. So that is one of the things that I didn't expect to happen. Another thing that I didn't expect to happen is the friendships that I made. A lot of you guys know that like my best friend Alex and my best friend Jody, us three were friends in prison, and we are still friends to this day. We are like sisters. We fight like sisters. We get on each other's nerves like sisters. We will tell each other about each other like with love, like sisters, but we love each other like sisters too. And you know, all these years later, we're still just as close, and that's something I definitely did not expect. How did you avoid fighting other women? I didn't necessarily avoid it, because whenever I went to prison, I was prepared to get down, okay? I was like, you know, it's prison. I gotta be ready to protect myself. But I honestly, to be honest with you, for the most part, I got along with just about everybody. I mean, of course, you know, you're living in a close proximity of 100 different women in your dorm. It was 70, 80, 90, 100, whatever, in one dorm on a compound with hundreds, if not thousands, depending on your compound, of women, okay? Hormones going, people miss their kids, people miss their family, people miss their spouses, you know, through the holiday seasons. Then you have, you know, people having their menstruals, so they're even more hormonal, they're PMSing. You're bound to have moments that you get on each other's nerves. But for the most part, I kind of was cool with everybody, and I wasn't best friends with everybody, but you know, I respected them, they respected me. It doesn't always go like that, but for some strange reason, I did not have to fight while I was in there. Thank you, Jesus. But I would have if I had to. If I had to, I would have, and that's just being real. I also didn't start no mess neither. I wasn't going around spreading rumors about other people. I wasn't trying to get with nobody's girlfriend. I wasn't just blatantly being disrespectful to people. I stayed in my lane. I showed people respect. And sometimes that's still not enough, though. I'll be honest with you guys. Sometimes it's still not enough. But for me, thankfully it was. How do you find out the stories behind other inmates' charges? Okay, there's multiple ways that you can do this, or we did this in there. I mean, a lot of the times if it's like a big high profile case, rumors will go around, okay? You see the newspaper. You can have your family members send you the newspaper in. It has to come directly from the news journal though. Like they have to order a subscription and it be sent directly from them to you. And you can read articles, you know, see people's pictures, see what they did, whatever, if it made it that big. Sometimes the officers don't like somebody, they'll drop that little information to one person and they'll spread it around. Or probably the most popular way is people calling home and asking their family members to look up people's stuff. Like if I have a problem with you, or if I think you're shady or shisty and I want to find out more information on you, and I call, you know, Hoobity Hobbity Woody and say, hey, can you look up, you know, Michelle Carter or whatever this person's name is and tell me what they did, because, you know, you can do that. And then that's how you find out. So, do COs ever get found out when they put inmates in the hole for things that are lies? Not that I know of. I mean, it's our word against theirs. You know, whenever we have our little hearing is what it's called. So this is what happens. An officer says I did something I didn't do, right? I get put in the hole. Then, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a week, 2 weeks, depending on how much time you have. I've got a friend that's in prison right now that got thrown in the hole and didn't have his hearing for 3 weeks. He did not even know why he was in there until 3 weeks after even being in there. Okay, so, and then the officer comes that does the hearing, and they show you the paper of what you did. It's literally your word against the officers. Who is the hearing officer going to believe? An inmate or the officer? So they typically, I have never seen them side with the inmate. It may have happened. If it's happened to you, let us know down below. I'd love to read what you have to say, but no. If an officer says you did something, you did it, whether you did it or not. All right, and we're going to go for the last one, which is, what was the hardest thing to get used to after getting out? I think the hardest thing for me to get used to, and is still a struggle to this day, is accepting love from others. You know, I still have a hard time with it. I'm just the kind of person that, like, you can curse me out, you can talk bad about me, you can try to hurt me, and that is almost my comfort zone because of my long past of other stuff, you know. And I don't mean comfort zone that I'm like, yes, do it, you know, whatever. But it's just kind of like, I'm used to dealing with that. I'm used to people trying to hurt me in my life. But accepting the love from people is very, very hard sometimes. And like, even with you guys, I mean, even, you know, if you follow me on my second channel, you've probably seen videos. Sometimes I literally just cry because I'm so overwhelmed by the love, and it's just such a foreign feeling to me, you know? And so that is probably the hardest thing for me to get used to, is accepting that people think that I'm cool, or people think that I'm worthy of their time to watch my videos, or people think that I'm worthy of their time to love me or to understand me, or that people accept me. So that's the hardest thing for me to get used to. All right, my loves, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. There were so many other questions. If you guys want me to do a part 2 to this video with the questions I already have, say part 2 down below. And other than that, as always, babies, please do not forget to like this video. It's a free way that you can help your girl out. And until next time, I love you guys so, so, so very much. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.